Welcome, everyone. Can you guys hear me and see me okay? This is another live session with me, Professor Heather Austin. Today, we are talking about dangerous job search mistakes to avoid if you want to get hired. Now, there's a bit of a delay on my end from when I speak to you guys. I think it's like a good 30-second delay. So if you can hear me and see me, give this video a big, huge thumbs up. Make sure you tap the subscribe button right below this video if you're tuning in live or if you are catching the replay. So today's session is part of our limited time summer 2024 Job Search Bootcamp. If you have not been getting the notifications about this event, I want you to make sure that you at least catch the replay. If you want to catch the replay of our entire summer series, this is session 5. We've been joining you guys every other week here on YouTube with amazing job search strategies to help you overcome the difficult job market. So if you want to catch the replay of all of these sessions, go to heatheraustin.online/live class. You'll enter your name and you'll get immediately a link with all the replays. So again, tap that like button down below, subscribe to this channel. Let me know also in the chat that where you're joining us from. Let us know where you're joining us from today. So many of you jumped into the chat early. I love it. Ken is here from Northern Michigan. Tane is tuning in from Fargo. Tim, hello from Canada. Virginia is here. Let's see, we have Chrissy here from Texas. So happy to see you guys. Lindsay, hello. Eric, Kevin is here. Jason is here. Marcus is here. The Best Friends is here. Hello, you guys. Say hello in the chat if you have not yet done so. We also have our amazing Carrie Stiles in the chat. She is our knockout career strategy expert. She's going to be answering questions while I live stream today. She's also going to be getting questions in front of me to make sure we have time to answer those while I'm also live streaming any questions that she wants me to answer live. She's going to pop those into a special document for me that I'm going to answer. So say hello in the chat. We are going to jump right into it. If you have ever joined me for a live training before, you know I ask you a lot of questions. I share a lot of really amazing content. Get your favorite pencil. Get a notepad, get your whatever, maybe you're going to type your notes up on your screen, get whatever you need to take notes during today's session, because I am talking about the biggest mistakes that you are making right now that are preventing you from getting hired in this impossible, challenging, difficult job market. So again, you're going to want to take notes. So let me pop into my slides really quickly here. So again, what I was talking about earlier is if you are just joining us for the first time and you don't know who I am, hello, I'm Heather Austin. I'm a career strategy expert where I teach you simple tasks to help you overcome the difficult or sometimes overwhelming process of the job search. We are on the very tail end of our summer 2024 Job Search Bootcamp, where we're talking all about conquering the tough job market. If you have not been getting notifications for these events, or if you want to catch the replay, make sure you go to heatheraustin.online/live class. As soon as you enter your name and your email address, you'll receive a link or another page with all of the replays of this session. So this is all free content, amazing content for you here on YouTube and on the world of the internet, right? To help you move through this job market quicker, faster, and with more success. So make sure you use that link, heatheraustin.online/live class to do that. Now, my very first question for you before we dive into all the amazing content I have planned, I want to know, what job search insecurity are you experiencing? So I really want you to think about that. Think about what job search insecurity are you experiencing? And I want to play a quick clip from you from TikTok. And I want to know at the end of this clip, it's like a 1-2 minute clip, if you can relate to this person. Okay, so here we go.
Okay, so I've been unemployed 7 months and I'm refreshing my job search strategy because clearly whatever I'm doing isn't working. And I need to know if there are other people out there that have these same little demons that enter their head every morning. So let me explain. Over the 4th of July week, I was like, you know what? We're coming at this strong and new on Monday. We're scratching all of the applications from whenever I was laid off 7 months ago, and we're starting fresh. We're starting at zero, okay? Redid my resume, had someone help me look it over, got super confident, worked through some cover letters, felt really prepared. And yesterday I applied to 14 jobs, okay? I sat down, head down for 2 hours from 11 to 1. That's my time. Sit, apply for jobs, do your thing, customize the resume, customize the cover letter. Felt super confident. I was like, look at me. I'm doing a good job with the searches. I was using a Boolean search, okay? All these things. And I feel like the jobs I applied for were real, and I feel like I put myself forward with my resume and cover letter and my little application the best way possible. Go to bed, sleep like a little baby, wake up in the morning, and all these little tiny, tiny demons. Have you ever seen the movie The Borrowers? Okay, millennials out there, the borrowers, when they're like the little tiny people and they live in the mouse hole and like in your walls, and they come and they borrow, aka steal all the stuff from the regular size people. I think those people live in my head, okay? Because all morning I've been telling myself like, oh my God, what if you didn't do a good enough job? What if all those jobs you applied for were fake? What if those 14 jobs that you thought were real are nothing? And then I feel like I just put myself out there, put my story, my professional story, my resume, my cover letter, like what I'm passionate about, what I want to do out there. And I have this like fear that these like little people that are reading it are just like snickering and like, oh, look at this girl. She thinks she's, qualified for this. I don't know. Does anyone have this? I can't be the only one.
Okay, can you guys relate to what she was saying? So when I follow her on TikTok, this gal, and I've been following her journey for quite a while, and she posts these amazing, insightful TikTok videos about her own journey. So let me know if you can relate to what she's talking about, where, she's like, I'm going to start fresh on Monday. I'm going to tackle it. I've got these 14 jobs that I want to apply for. I'm going to get it all done. I'm going to customize my resume, customize my cover letter. I'm going to get the application process in. In 2 hours, she was able to apply for these 14 jobs. She felt like these positions were such a great fit for her. She felt like she was putting her best foot forward. And then she wakes up the next day and she's like, the what if game, right? What if they are saying to her, why is she applying for these jobs, right? What if the people on the other end are criticizing her or her application or her resume or her cover letter? Let me know in the chat. Type a big demon. Okay, let's not type demon because I don't want that. But type a big yes in the chat if you can relate to that. And the reason why I say the demon is because she's like, demons are entering your head, right? You start second guessing yourself. You start wondering if these positions you applied for are really the right fit. You start wondering, are they even going to call me back after I spent all this time? So type yes in the chat if this relates to you. Now back to my original question. What job search insecurity are you experiencing? So her video was titled Unemployment Insecurities. A lot of you had typed in fact, Teresa, I'm going to read your comment. It says, imposter syndrome, been out of work for 14 months, did take time out for family, but now feel unworthy and not competitive enough to win that amazing job. Get the interviews, but then turn down email arrive. And Teresa, I feel your pain. These are comments that we get every single day in our inbox, on our YouTube channel. And of course, I'm here to help you guys hopefully move through that imposter syndrome and give you some really amazing tips today. So take some notes that will help you hopefully overcome those challenges. Bradley said, I find plenty of jobs, no offers, and many rejections. I even paid $10,000 for a career coach. This seems really odd right now. I have 30 years of experience. Bradley, I'm with you. I'm with you, baby. Catherine says, can't narrow down what I want to do. Angela, great. Now I've got that in my head. Yes, all of this stuff is like resonating, right? We are going to move forward with today's content because I have so much to share with you. Before I do, if you guys don't know who I am, I'm Professor Heather Austin, a university professor turned entrepreneur and career strategy expert. Here are some amazing companies that we have been able to help our clients, our students, you guys here that are enjoying our YouTube content, land top job offers and interviews with. That's our number one goal for you. We don't want you to have imposter syndrome. We don't want you to get those rejection messages anymore. So tune into today's content. Here's just a couple success stories that we get here every day on the channel. And I want to shout out these people who take the time to spend typing these messages into us because it's really, truly why we do what we do. So Calvin wrote in and he said, "Thank you so much, Professor Austin. I just discovered you a few days ago as I'm currently in the job search and was looking to give my resume plus my cover letter a much needed overhaul to better highlight my value proposition." He says, "I spent several hours yesterday implementing your advice and tips and landed an interview today." So when you guys see there is a pattern of the success stories that we get here on this channel, when people put into action what I'm teaching them within hours or within days or within weeks, things really start moving forward for them. Let's see. We have another one of our subscribers wrote in and said, "Thank you for this video. Literally a lifesaver. I've sent almost 2,000 applications for the past 4 months after being laid off and nothing materialized." And this is what I love about what this person said. ATS should be illegal. And then goes on to say, some other things and how fast their resume got dumped. So my videos and hopefully this training, I want them to be exactly like they were for this user, literally a lifesaver. Let's see. Stealth GTI wrote in and said, "Professor Austin, thank you for the resume advice. Both times I used my revised resume based on your advice. It worked." He goes on to say, "The job I chose, I submitted the resume Wednesday night, called by 9 a.m. Thursday to interview Friday, and given the job on the spot and in process Tuesday." Amazing results. And last story really quick. Jason wrote in and said, "I took an afternoon and redid my resume and cover letter with her methods," which, by the way, I'm going to share with you guys in just a second. If you need extra resume and cover letter advice, because we're not going to jump deep into resumes and cover letters today, even though I am going to share some tips with you, I have a special link for you to use where you can grab a resume and cover letter workshop, and you can grab that and go watch it after you're done with this. He goes on to say, "I applied for a job that night and landed an interview within 12 hours of applying." Amazing. So again, we are rooting for you. We are here for you. We are sharing tips with you today and on this channel to help you achieve amazing success like these folks. Now, again, in just a little bit, I will be sharing with you where you can grab our ultimate resume and cover letter makeover workshop if you need help with your resume and your cover letter. These two pieces are pivotal in the job search. They are two critical pieces that help you paint your career story, that tell your career narrative, and they are actually the pieces that are the starting point for you to go into that interview and be able to sell yourself. Now, if you tune in all the way until the end, I'm going to share with you an invite-only link so you can attend our next group career coaching and job search strategy session. So we hold these every month with our Career Academy members and other individuals that invest in some of our programs and our products. And we do have an invite-only link. And I'll share with you at the end of today's presentation where you can grab that. Now, really quickly, let me just share with you what we are going to cover today. So, and by the way, these are the mistakes. Now, I could go into like 20, 30, 100 mistakes that you might be making right now. But when I was thinking about today's presentation, these were the mistakes that I see time and time again. And I try to condense them into 3 simple ones that hopefully you'll be able to understand and process and not make these mistakes anymore. So the very first one is undervaluing the power of your career story. And there's 3 crucial elements that go into this, and I'm going to share exactly what those are that you need to enhance right now. The second mistake we're going to talk about is applying for too many jobs at once. And give me an amen in the chat if you can relate to this. Applying for too many jobs at once. And I want to share with you how to target the right opportunities for better results. And then finally, we'll jump into poor interview prep and follow-up. That is one mistake I see time and time again, is poor interview prep and follow-up. And I want to share with you some essential steps that will help you land more interviews and better job offers. So my next question for you, how long have you been actively searching for a job? How long have you been actively searching for a job? Teresa already mentioned in the chat that she's been out of work for 14 months. That gal that I shared her TikTok video, she's been out of work for 7 months. How long have you been actively searching for a new job. Type that into the chat. While you're typing that in, let's jump into our very first mistake, and that is undervaluing the power of your career story. So there's 3 crucial elements that go into your career story. Now, the whole job search process, if you're in my career academy or you're one of my clients, I share with you the 7 parts to a successful job search, right? I'm just going to be sharing with you really quickly in a second here 3 of these elements that you need to enhance right now. The job search entails lots of steps and lots of processes, right? But if you can narrow in on exactly what you need to do so that you're not spending time on activities that are not getting you the results you want, you're going to save yourself a whole lot of frustration, overwhelm, that confidence killing activities that are making you second guess yourself. We don't want you to second guess yourself and your success. So let me share with you the 3 crucial elements you need to enhance now. Really quickly, your resume. Now, I call this your career portfolio. There's lots of things that go into your career portfolio, but one of the very first things is your resume. Now, we're not going to dive deep into the resume today, even though I could, and I have lots of trainings where I do dive deep into your resume. In fact, in just a minute, I'll be sharing with you where you can join us or enroll in a resume and cover letter workshop that will take you through all the details of your resume, right? The biggest thing I want you to take away with this today, the resume has to be tailored. Now, I have a very specific strategy that I teach you where it should really only take you 30 seconds to a minute to tailor your resume for every position. Now, if you have more time and you can change out some bullet points, you can change out your career summary, you can add another section that shows your professional development. Yes, that's great. But the very bare minimum, I always want you to change your title. I want you to change the 3 key skills that you have. And I also want you to change your descriptive words that are describing who you are. And these have to be specifically tailored to the position. Now, I teach this in my resume and cover letter workshop, and I'll share a link for you in just a second. By the way, the career portfolio example that I have on the page, that's a 2-page resume. If you have less than 7 years of experience, you're not going to use a 2-page. You'll have a 1-page, right? This is an example of a master resume template or example that we have inside of our programs. But number 1, you need to enhance this right now. The second thing you need to enhance is, of course, your cover letter, right? So your cover letter is It is your narrative. It's your career story in a paragraph format. Now, when I talk about your cover letter, and I mentioned this in our ultimate resume and cover letter workshop, you might not have a formal document like what you see here on the screen. You might not have that, and you might not need that for your job search, and that's totally okay. However, you still need to know who you are, how did you get there, why are you applying for this job, what interests you about the position, and why are you a good fit for this position. The cover letter helps you get and touch on each of those points. Now, you might even not have a formal document, but you might be introducing yourself in an email. I like to look at that as a cover letter as well. You might even be introducing yourself on LinkedIn in a message or a connection request. That is also a version of your cover letter. So again, the cover letter is what's going to help you show them or explain to them how you are the solution to their problem, how you can help them get from point A to point B. It needs to be really interesting, and you need to have a really good call to action. I teach all of that inside my ultimate resume and cover letter workshop. Now, the third piece to this is so critical, is your LinkedIn profile. Now, I have a very specific strategy, again, that I teach when it comes to LinkedIn, where I have you optimize 7 key sections on the profile. I don't have you optimize anything else. I have you optimize 7 key sections. Once those are optimized, then you can go in and start looking at all the other options that LinkedIn asks you, right? Like, do you guys get the emails that they say, hey, complete your profile, add this, add that? They're asking me all the time to add certain things. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to add this and I'm not going to add that. There are certain things you do need to add and you do need to enhance in your profile if you want to have greater success in your job search. And again, I teach all that inside of my programs. There is a video. Let me pop this link into the chat because I have it here in my notes. This is the 7 sections that you need to optimize that are the most important for your LinkedIn profile. When you are finished here today, use that link that is inside the chat. I will also, when today's session wraps, I will place that link inside the 7 sections. Take a screenshot of this. The video that I just shared in the link, that's going to go through each of these, right? So profile photo, headline, your about summary, your experience, education and training, skills and endorsements, and recommendations. Do not spend time on anything else until these are done. Do not spend any time on anything else until these sections are done. So I'll give you guys a couple seconds to screenshot that. Carrie, let's see if there's any questions that we can answer. I think we're good on questions. If you guys have any questions, pop them into the chat. I will do my best to answer them as we go live. Carrie will also do her best to answer them as they pop into the chat. So again, yes, keep all these sections in mind. Make sure you take a screenshot of this. Lindsay popped in and said, I struggle to understand how people can do anything in just a few minutes. It becomes unsure of what to do, what to write, and what to change, and it takes me like hours off and on. Yeah. Okay, Lindsay, let me share a quick tip with you. When you are tailoring your resume, I really only want you to spend 30 seconds to a minute changing the title and then changing the 3 key skills below that. That would be the very bare minimum. If you have a few more minutes and you want to tailor some other things, you can definitely do that as well. But it really should not take you much time. If you have already an amazing resume to start out with, and you're just going in to change a couple things here and there, then that's great, right? But I don't want you to spend a ton of time on the tailoring because sometimes that doesn't really, that's almost, it's like not a good investment of your time. And I'm going to share with you in just a minute some time strategies. Now, Teresa asked, how long should a recommendation be on your LinkedIn? It depends. Teresa, you're probably talking about like if someone else is writing you a recommendation. Inside of our programs, and by the way, I'm going to share with you in a second where you can grab our resume cover letter workshop. I have templates for you that give you an idea of what that looks like, but I also have templates for you to ask someone to write the recommendation, and then you can draft it up for them. And you're hitting on specific points. You're hitting on specific things. You can even ask them to change this keyword to that keyword if you wanted to tailor more of your recommendations to your industry. For example, if you're switching from one industry to another, there's a lot of things you can do with your recommendation. I wouldn't necessarily be focused on the length. I would be focused on the content and making sure that they're getting to the point of the value that you bring. Really good question. Awesome. Okay, Angela popped in. I purchased the toolkit and have been using it. Good job, Angela. Yay. Recruiters are reaching out to me for jobs that aren't even posted. That's exactly what we want to hear, Angela. I want to share your statement with others. I love it. Teresa says, I have very good recommendation from a former manager. I reported to it is 3 paragraphs. Is that too long? No, that's perfect. I wouldn't even again focus on the length. I would focus on the content. All right, I have another question for you guys before we jump into the next topic. Is your career story included in your LinkedIn profile? So when we talk about who you are, who you help, what problems you solve, how you're a good fit for your industry or the position that you are applying for, how did you get there, all those amazing details about yourself, is that included on LinkedIn for you? Type yes or no in the chat. Is that included on LinkedIn for you? And by the way, if you guys do have a question, pop question before your question. It lights up yellow on my end so that I can see what questions I might need to answer. All right, so yes or no, is your career story included on your LinkedIn profile? While you're typing that in, let's move in to the second mistake I see so many job seekers make, and that is applying for too many jobs at once. We could even just say applying for too many jobs in general. That comment that I read with you earlier, where one of our subscribers had said, I've applied to 2,000 jobs, right? Before they found the content, before they started binge watching my videos, they had applied to 2,000 jobs. That is not the way that you want to approach your job search. We want your job search to be very targeted on the right opportunities so that you can see better results. Here's a screenshot that I want you to take a screenshot of this. Focus on quality over quantity by applying for fewer, more aligned positions. Jot that down in your notes, take a screenshot, whatever it is. Focus on quality over quantity by applying for fewer, more aligned positions. I want to share with you another success story of someone who did this and the results that they received. So Clay wrote in and says, I wanted to send you a message and tell you how much your resume YouTube video helped me. Within 3 hours of sending in my resume, the VP of his number one choice company contacted him, and we moved along in the selection process on day 1. He said, I never expected results like that. I just wanted to express my gratitude and let you know you are on fire with resumes. I love resumes, by the way. So what we're doing now is we're taking that 2,000 positions that you might be applying for, the 80 positions, the 50 positions that you might be applying for, and we're really focusing on targeted positions so that you can see results within hours, within days. I mean, weeks might be kind of long. I want you to be getting results within hours or within days of sending in your resume, sending in your application, because it's tailored and you're applying for the right positions. So let me show a comparison to you really quickly. I want to compare a targeted job search versus you looking on a job board. Targeted job search versus job board. So if we look at the targeted job search, what's happening is when we target those positions, we are having a higher relevance, right? So the applications are much more likely to be seen by someone, by a hiring manager, a recruiter, the person doing the hiring, whoever that might be. It increases the chances of you progressing through the hiring process. Now, if we go to a job board, you're going to have much lower conversion rates. The reason why is because it's a less personalized application, and you have a lower chance of catching someone's eye. Now, the next part to that is with the targeted job search, you have a better allocation of resources. So you're focusing your time and your energy on opportunities where you can have the highest chance of success, rather than spreading your efforts too thin. Over a job board where you're going to get increased rejections. So this leads to a higher volume of rejections, of course, which impacts your what? Your morale and your confidence. And I'm going to talk to you about confidence in just a second. And then we also have your enhanced personalization. If you're going with a targeted job search, this allows you to better tailor your resumes, your cover letters, all the application material specific to the job. And it allows you to demonstrate that clear alignment with the job requirements. Because again, that's one of the biggest mistakes we see job seekers make, is they're applying for these positions that do not align with who they are or what their experience is, or what it is they want to do in the future. With a job board, you're also draining your resources. It's not a great use of your time, and it also takes longer. You're prolonging that job search. So my next question for you, by the way, take a screenshot of this. I'll give you guys a second to screenshot that, or hopefully you're jotting down notes and taking notes there. Hi, Catherine. I'm so happy that you made it today. Catherine has a really good question. There is a lot of talk about fake job postings online. I have a video coming out on next Tuesday about this exact topic with some amazing strategies for you. She says, is it better to apply for jobs through the client site? 100%. What I want you to do when you find a position, if you find it listed on LinkedIn or on one of the job boards, you need to go to the company's website and you need to apply directly through the company's website. But you're not just taking it there. You're taking it much further than that. You're reaching out to a human. Find someone in the company that you can send a note to, that you can start networking with. And by the way, when I share with you guys where you can grab your resume and cover letter workshop, I have templates for all of that for you inside of this workshop. Really good question, Catherine. Thanks for asking that. I have a question for you. On average, how many jobs do you apply to each week? On average, if you had to give us a number, how many jobs do you apply to each week? Now, if you broke that down and maybe you're applying for 3 a day, is that 15 jobs a week? Think about how many jobs you apply to each week. Type that into the chat. Now, I'm going to share another, and I'm not going to go through these individually, even though I can, but I want to share another screen with you, and I want you to screenshot this really quickly because I really want to dive into mistake number 3, which I think is super, super, super powerful. Screenshot this. This is my 4-part targeted job search strategy. We could talk, I could just do a presentation on each of these items. And we could really dive deep into these. We do this in our programs. But if you're looking at your targeted job search, you're always going to have an industry focus. You need to have role specification. You need to have a company selection, and then you need to add networking onto that. So notice how we're drilling down to the industry, the actual role or the position. Then we drill down even more into the company, and then we're adding networking onto that. Again, I could go into so much more detail on each of these items, but take a screenshot of that and know that this is our 4-part targeted job search strategy that will really help you move through those hurdles and not apply to 2,000 jobs, not apply to 100 jobs. We want you to apply to a handful of positions and be moving forward with those companies and those positions, and hopefully accepting or getting job offers all around the same time with these companies, right? And then having to decide, which one should I take? That is our number 1 goal for you. So take a screenshot of that. And then I have another question for you. Angela asked a really good question. Is it important to have the open to work banner on LinkedIn? For those longtime listeners and viewers, what do you think my answer is going to be to that question? Let me see if you guys are paying attention. So let's answer Angela's question. Is it important to have the open to work banner on LinkedIn? Longtime viewers and listeners and subscribers, and if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Type into the chat what you think my answer is going to be to that. Bradley, I love it, says, what is a targeted job search? Such a good question. I probably have 10 videos on what a targeted job search is. I want you to think of it, Bradley, and anyone else who has that same question, as you're focused specifically on positions that align with you, your career goals, your values, and your experience. And you're applying for those positions instead of just anything that might come up that you might be qualified for, that you might enjoy. We're really focusing on just companies, positions, roles that really fit you. All right, let's see if anyone knows what I'm going to say. Yes, a lot of people are saying no to the LinkedIn open for work banner. Kevin says no. Guitar Dude, love it, says no. Rocco says no. Trevor says no. Tom says no. And then someone says, Derek Phoenix Gaming, hello Derek, says makes no difference. I am not a fan of the open to work banner. I don't love it. I feel like it's a distraction. I feel like it's desperate. You can notify recruiters on the back end of your profile because hopefully the recruiter is a awesome qualified recruiter. They can go in and look at what you've specified if you are open to work. And you can give them notes about the type of work you want to do. You can give them ideas about what you're looking for without having to put that banner on your profile. Now, I may think differently in the future, and when I do, and if I do change my opinion on that, I will definitely let you guys know. You will be the first to know. if I change my opinion on that. By the way, we will be holding a 3-day LinkedIn mini series coming up here in September. I will, if you guys are on my email list or if you follow me on any of the social platforms, which by the way, I don't post a lot on social. I'm going to hire someone to help me post on social. I do a lot of my communication through my email list. If you are on my email list, you will get notifications for when that 3-day series is. It is a free series and we will talk in detail for 3 days about LinkedIn. So my next question for you, I want to know if you track your jobs, all the jobs you apply for using some sort of spreadsheet or journal. Do you track the jobs you apply for using a spreadsheet or a journal? Type that into the chat. While you're typing that in, let's jump into our third and final mistake, which is poor interview prep and follow-up. I want to share with you a couple steps that will help you land more interviews and better job offers. But before I do that, I want to share another quick TikTok clip with you because I think this is really, really insightful. So let me pop this on and then I'll see you on the other end of this.
One of the biggest mistakes that I see from candidates when they're interviewing for a position is a lack of confidence and a lack of ownership when they talk about their experience. I learned this lesson super early on in my career. I was interviewing for a very competitive internship my junior year of college, and my resume was awesome. I had worked hours and hours on perfecting it. However, when I talked to the recruiter, when I had my first conversation with her, after we were done with the interview, she told me, "This is great, but I honestly expected a lot more from you." And I was like super taken aback. I thought, I have the experience. I have the great formatting on my resume. Like, what did I do wrong? And that's exactly what she said. She was like, on paper, you're the perfect candidate for this role. But talking to you, it just feels like you're shrinking away from all of this great experience that you have. I'm so lucky that I was given that feedback that day because after that, I think having that radical sense of ownership over your work and your experience is so important for that to come across to the interviewer so they know, oh, that person was the one that had that idea, that created that strategy, that led that initiative. So when you're interviewing, just think about the most confident person that you know. Think about the most confident version of yourself. Be really proud of the work that you've done, the skills that you've acquired over time, and make sure that shines in the interview. You need to be your own advocate and your own champion, and that will really come across in the interview.
Can you guys relate to that? Type yes in the chat if you can relate to anything that she said. So when I came across that clip, I was like, oh, this is the one thing, because we could talk about all the poor interview mistakes that you might be making. And I could share with you, which we have trainings and webinars and all the things and courses all about job interviews. But the thing that really resonated with me and this clip is that she talks about the lack of confidence. And I 100% believe that that is the number one thing preventing you from landing that job interview or that job offer during the interview or after the interview is the lack of confidence and the ownership that job seekers have when they talk about themselves. So she talked a little bit about how she was perfect on paper. She met all the qualifications. And I'm sure the recruiter or the hire manager is like, okay, this is our person. She's perfect. And then they bring her in and she starts presenting about herself. And they're saying, hey, you're not really presenting yourself in a way that makes us want to hire you. But what I love about what she said to this, and again, type yes in the chat if you can resonate with anything that she said, is that you need to have a radical sense of ownership over your work and your experience. I love that she mentioned that. She also talked about thinking about yourself in the most confident version or light of yourself. Be proud of the work you've done and the skills that you've learned. When I meet and I coach job seekers about their job interviews or their next steps in their career, and I'll say, hey, what are the most amazing things you've done? They have the hardest time, and I'm not saying everyone, I'm saying a lot of folks have the hardest time talking about themselves. So you have to be fully prepared to take radical ownership of your work and your experience, right? So type yes in the chat if that resonates with you. Let me jump into, I want to share with you my next little thing here that is going to help you prepare for these job interviews. And I call this the 3-part job interview framework. There's just 3 parts, pretty simple. Take notes on this part if you can, or screenshot it by the time I get to the 3rd one. You need to know and understand the company. So before you go into any job interview, and by the way, what I'm sharing with you is going to help you build that confidence and take ownership, which is one of the biggest mistakes job seekers make before any job interview, is not having this 3-part job interview framework, the solid foundation squared away. You need to know and understand the company. What does the company do? What's their vision? What's their vision? Their mission? What are their core values? You need to know that at the very bare basics of this. Search their website, search their social media. You can learn a lot about someone and a company, who the key players are, all the amazing stuff you need to know just by doing a little bit of research. So that's going to be number 1, is know and understand the company. The next part to this is you need to know and understand the position. You have to know this position like the back of your hand. What are the qualifications? What are the requirements? What are the characteristics the company is looking for in their ideal candidate? These are the most important things: qualifications, requirements, characteristics. And then finally, so not do we just need to know the company or the position, you need to know and understand your accomplishments. This is where you are taking radical ownership of your work and your experiences, your talents, your skills, all those amazing things. I don't have a separate slide for this, but I want you to write this down. Think about the largest problems you've solved with a company, in school, in your community, whatever that might be. What are the largest problems you've solved? Think about the biggest projects you've worked on. Think about things that you're in an interview. What do you need that interviewer to know before you leave the interview? Think about the work you've done and how that has created impact, benefit, result, all those amazing details about yourself and your experience. So again, think about largest problems, biggest projects. What does the interviewer need to know before you leave that room in order for them to know that you are the top candidate? Now, I can add all sorts of steps and frameworks and strategies and all this stuff on top of it. The thing I want you to remember most is you have to be able to paint your career story. You need to be able to show them that you are qualified and that you are the best candidate. That starts from the top and goes all the way to the bottom until you negotiate your salary. Because when you come to negotiate your salary, you're still convincing them that you are the top candidate and this is why they should pay you X, Y, and Z. Or this is why they should give you these benefits. Or this is why you should get this on top of the compensation package. You are constantly talking about yourself and your career story. It starts from your resume, your cover letter, your LinkedIn profile, your targeted job search strategy, goes into the interview, and then finally into that salary negotiation phase. Now, here's the thing. I could give you all these amazing steps and I could keep going on and on and on. And I know that for most of you, when we talk about why you're here today, why you're joining us in these workshops, a lot of you are like, hey, Heather, I've been searching for a job for way too long. I'm done with the rejections. I don't want to go out and do another networking message. And I don't, like, I'm done. I'm drained. If you look at our first TikTok clip that I shared, you've started that job search strategy on Monday, and then maybe by Wednesday, you haven't gotten any calls back, and you're like, what's happening? Now, for most of you, as you mentioned earlier in the chat, you want a better position because you want a good work-life balance. You want to create value in your industry, in your community, in your position, whatever that might be. So I want to do a couple little things here, and we're going to take questions. I'll do some questions here at the end. I want to invite you, before we get too further into today's presentation, to join us inside of our Ultimate Resume and Cover Letter Makeover Workshop. So this workshop is it's a workshop that really dives deep into how you're going to write your winning resume and your authentic cover letter. And here's the most important part to this, that tells your true career story and lands you that life-changing job offer. So let me share a couple success stories with you. Kevin wrote in and said, I received a job offer from every interview. So he said, finally got a job offer thanks to Heather and all of her help. In fact, every interview I had received an offer from. Here's what Lynn had said. She landed her dream job, even though it wasn't even posted. She says, I just landed my dream job through referral using your networking tips. Surprisingly, this position was not posted anywhere on Indeed or LinkedIn. And by the way, one of our toolkit users had mentioned this same thing earlier in the chat, that the toolkit is working gangbusters for them in landing interviews and recruiters being able to reach out to them on positions that she may or may not have known were even a thing. Now, I want to share another quick clip with you guys, and then I'm going to pop into the chat. And Tori's actually already popped into the chat. If you want to join us inside of our Ultimate Resume Cover Letter Workshop, this is a course. It's inside of an online course portal. You'll have instant access to it. I want to share a quick clip with you from Callie. I haven't shared her story in a while, and she has an amazing career story. And let me know if you can relate with her. I'll pop this up, and then I'll see you on the other end.
So I am an HR professional. I actually just joined HR about 3 years ago. I work for an engineering consulting firm. I've loved absolutely everything I've learned in HR. There have been quite a few changes recently, though, that kind of made me look for something else. I'm taking my master's degree in HR, strategic HR operations, and also got my PHR certification. So that was one of the reasons I kind of found you. I hadn't looked at my resume in a really long time, and I wanted to make sure it was focused on what I had learned in the last 3 years.
What was your biggest job search challenge at that time?
So I was a military spouse for about 3 years. Kind of have to take what options are available depending on where you're living. You have to have really flexible organization that's kind of willing to work with you. You can't make really long-term promises when they all kind of know you might be moving soon or he might get deployed. I would say my resume looked a bit like a dog's dinner. I kind of just took whatever I could take, just make things work, and I was adaptable. But when I looked back, I was in county government in one place. I was in an elementary school, followed by a medical laboratory. Before that, I was a research coordinator. It just looked very messy. It looked like I couldn't really commit, even though it was just being a supportive spouse and still trying to make some kind of money on this side to help our family, but at the same time, still really in support of his career. Once I knew HR was the place I wanted to be, I needed to take a really deep look at what my resume looked like, what my LinkedIn profile looked like. And I just needed to be honest with myself, because I am in HR and I have seen resumes and I have been on a bit of the talent acquisition side. And I'm going, I would hesitate to hire someone like me sometimes, if I saw and I didn't know the background story. So I really wanted to see how to make a more cohesive resume, how to make my LinkedIn match that. And the toolkit seemed to really be a great way of showing how to do that from start to finish. Wonderful.
Yeah. Was there a specific milestone or something inside the toolkit that you could pinpoint and say, this was the thing that set me apart from everyone else?
Absolutely. There were a few things. I think the templates that are in the toolkit are fantastic, even for networking with people. Just that hesitation to reach out and maybe bother somebody. It's such a great way to have a professionally written, obviously add what I can and something about me and make it more personal, but just a guideline that this is okay. It's all right to reach out to people and make that connection. But also, I would say ChatGPT and the AI tools that you provided, all of those prompts, I had really had to look at my resume and say, I'm showing people what I did day to day, but I'm not showing them how I'm really giving and contributing in my role, or I'm making an impact, or I'm delivering results. So when I kind of used all those tools combined, that was super helpful. My resume and my cover letter, especially their cohesiveness, I felt like it was elevated. It was more professional. It was telling a better story than I think in the past. I had said, here's what I have. Hope it matches what you need versus, hey, I have a lot to bring and skills that are transferable and things that might be valuable to your company. I was much less afraid to kind of show that. I was even too ashamed to ask friends to look at my LinkedIn, but I felt like once I went through your toolkit, I was able to say, okay, I know what I'm doing. I can see how things are structured now and what job or companies are looking for in a better
Yeah.
way.
If you had a friend or if you knew someone that was in the job search that was struggling, what would you tell them about the resources and the lessons and the templates?
I really thought the chat GPT, you kind of like broke that barrier for me where I was like, oh, this is a really great resource. I feel like it's something that if other people are using it, you want to take advantage of some of those tools and you want to be as modern as possible in how you approach ATS systems and things like that. So I would, even just for that piece, I would recommend doing that. But also just saying, there are a lot of things that might be a bit outdated and how if you haven't been in the job market for a while, I feel like everything in the toolkit is up to date and it's constantly refreshed. I can already tell since I've signed up for it. So just having that in the back pocket, even if you're not necessarily searching, it's a great way to keep that fresh and renewing it so that if the perfect opportunity did arise, you have everything ready to go.
Does anyone else have a resume that they feel like is dog's dinner? I thought that was hilarious when she used that terminology to describe her resume. The thing I think is most powerful about her story is she mentions how she was able to bring all of her positions because she had worked here and there and had different skills in so many different areas. She was able to bring it all into one cohesive career story. And now she has a career that she loves and she's still able to support her spouse while he continues his journey in the military. So I want to share really quickly inside of what's inside of our Ultimate Resume and Cover Letter workshop or our course. Let me pop this up on the page. Hopefully you guys can see that. So inside of this program or this course, we dive deep into a few different modules, right? Where we're really breaking apart what the resume is. I see a lot of questions that have popped in earlier about what that actual career story means or is. We dive deep into that during this course. So one of the very first things that we talk about, and again, this goes into tailoring the resume, is that framework for building a customizable ATS-friendly resume. So that is the very first module or the very first section inside the program. The next thing we move into is how to create a persuasive resume summary that targets employer-specific pain points. So this is really where we go into detail inside the resume. We go into a simple formula for turning your responsibilities into achievements. So I like to call these active performance statements, or some people call them, or sometimes I call them results-driven achievement statements. This is really where we break down what it is that you've done, as Callie mentioned, and how do you show them the result or the value that you're able to provide. The next thing that we dive into inside this course is 3 types of cover letters to give your resume a boost. So remember earlier during this presentation, I had mentioned that you might not be sending in a formal cover letter, but what you might be doing is sending your resume to someone and you need to introduce yourself in that email. That's a form of that, but I teach you 3 types of cover letters. We also go through the signature 5-part cover letter framework. So this is really where we take you from the top of your cover letter all the way to the bottom where you're going to give your call to action. And I give you exact examples and templates for each paragraph in your cover letter. I also give you templates and examples for just an email message that you might be sending, for a LinkedIn message that you might be sending, for a LinkedIn connection request that you might be sending to introduce yourself along with your resume. Of course, if you guys have seen any trainings of mine, I am a big believer in artificial intelligence, and if you can use it properly and use it the right way, it can really streamline your job search and all the steps within your job search. However, you have to be really careful with how you're using it because we don't want any of your responses to come off as, oh, they just had their AI virtual assistant type this up for them, right? Or their AI assistant type this up. We want to make it sound like it's coming from you, a real person, the personalized approach to using AI. So that is another item that we dive deep into in this workshop. Now, if you decide to join us in the workshop, we've also added, or inside the course, we've also added some amazing bonuses. We have bonus number 1, which is our unlimited access to our 3-part LinkedIn mini series. So this is, I believe, and it is 5 hours of LinkedIn training that you'll have inside of this course. We go from how to set up your LinkedIn profile, how to use the LinkedIn newsfeed, how to apply for jobs, how to network properly on LinkedIn, how to become a thought leader if that's one of the things that you want to do. And I have a lot of people that are like, yeah, I want to become an expert and a thought leader in my industry. And I show you how to use LinkedIn to do that. The other bonus that's inside this course is our AI-powered job search tutorial and chat GPT prompts. I should actually just call them AI prompts because I know that, and if you guys have seen any of my trainings before, I use chat GPT for most of my interaction with AI, but I know that Google Gemini is picking up steam and they're making it better and better every single day. So I'm not opposed with you using one or the other. We have our job interview confidence training in here. So remember that TikTok video where she said the lack of confidence is really what's killing people in these interviews. We talk a lot about that in this bonus, this extra bonus workshop inside of our ultimate cover letter and resume course. So we talk about mastering your interview, answering the most commonly asked questions. We talk about what questions you should ask them. We talk about behavioral-based questions. Really what we're trying to do is streamline that interview process so that you have more confidence going in. But again, remember, it starts with that resume and that cover letter and your LinkedIn profile because this is all part of the process, right? All right, you also will get a VIP bonus, which is our 3-part job search mastery mini series. This is 7 additional hours of action-packed content. I call it that because it is action-packed, where we dive deep into what are those 7 stages of the job search, how are you going to process and move through each of them effectively, and we really take you through in the 7 hours. This is an additional course or program that is on top of your resume cover letter workshop. So really it all works together. Now, inside of the course, we do have our template pack that you'll have access to. So these are professionally curated templates and examples. And we cover pretty much every scenario or every situation inside your job search, whether you're just starting out, whether you're an experienced professional, whether you're transitioning careers, whether you have a career gap. We have templates and examples for each of those situations. Now, I always recommend, I want all of you to start with our master resume template and example because I feel like that can touch on almost every single scenario, gap, transitioning, so on and so forth. But we have all those examples and templates in there, and I tell you exactly when to use each and where to start. We also have, which by the way, let me get this out because it's under a pile of papers. This is our cover letter, let me see if I can pop it into the screen here. This is our resume cover letter workbook that you will also have access to once you enroll, where it really walks you through. I walk you through during the workshop, the page we're on, what you need to be thinking about, how to fill out the workbook. And by the way, this is not just a workbook to have a workbook. This is a workbook to really help you think about what your career story looks like, how you're putting it on paper. Once you get this groundwork done, the job search process becomes so much easier and faster. You don't need to spend 14 months, 15 months, even 3 or 4 months inside this job search bubble. If you have the right steps, and let me caveat with this, you put in the work. You have to put in the work in order to see success. It's not going to just be go watch a video here and watch this training there. I pull it all together for you, but you have to put in the work if you want to see success. Now, we are adding a fast action bonus to this course. This will go to the first 20 people who enroll. So remember, I said earlier, if you stick around, I'm going to share with you where you can get an invite-only link to our next career and job search coaching, which, by the way, let me give you the date on that, is going to be August 29th. So August 29th is our next session. What I would love to see you do, if you decide to join us in the program, grab your spot right now today so that you can be one of the first 20, and then join us on August 29th for our group career and job search coaching. And this is happening on Zoom. This is where it's you and I, we're with all of our fellow associates, right? All of us together on a call, and I present an additional topic with you, and then we go through questions and troubleshoot issues. We do hot seat sessions. That's where you can come and ask questions about anything that's going on with your job search right now. This will probably be gone today. They normally always sell out on the first day when I share with you guys what the fast action bonus is. So what you're going to do is, let me pop the link in the chat. I know Carrie has the link for you in the chat as well. And then I do want to answer some questions. This is a 2-day flash offer. So you will not be able to get this flash offer for this course or this program after Thursday. If you want to be one of the first 20 to join us for our group career coaching session, job search coaching session on August 29th, make sure you get in and get started today. If you decide to enroll on Thursday, that's okay. You're still getting lots and lots and lots of bonuses. When you enroll, and I'll pin that comment in just a second as soon as it comes up on my page, you will, let me share this actually really quickly with you. And then I'm going to share with you kind of what's going to happen if you decide to enroll. So we've kind of put together this package. This is just a one-time package that we have put together based on the feedback that we're getting from you guys in our inbox, based on the feedback that we're getting on our YouTube channel and on social media. Everything that we've put together in here for you, the trainings, the templates, the resources in this makeover course or workshop is worth more than $3,061, right? $3,061. It's worth more than that. If you start now, you'll save 60% off the full price. Keep in mind, though, that this is only good, that this limited time offer or this flash offer ends on August 15th. I say 1 p.m. ET. It's actually 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you go to the page, you'll see that there's a timer on there. When that timer ends, it takes you to the full price page. The full price page is normally $197, but you can enroll today for just $97. The link that you're going to want to use is heatheraustin.online/live offer. Carrie has popped that into the chat. I also have it linked for you in the description. If you are watching this on replay, I'm going to pin this message right now to the very top of the chat box. If you're watching us or catching us live, that will be there. So you can click on that link and that will take you directly to the page. We do have secure checkout using either PayPal or a credit card. So keep that in mind. A couple more success stories that I want to share with you, and then I'm going to answer some questions. I know there's a lot of good questions that have come in that I want to get to. So Leah wrote in and said, I was applying for jobs when I could, but I wasn't getting results. She came across me on YouTube, revamped her CV according to my template, watched the videos on interview prep, and the one on job interview confidence, which by the way is located inside as a bonus inside our ultimate resume and cover letter makeover course. She accepted a position for the project coordinator role at a great company. She said she found the CV template really helpful for stories for behavioral interview questions. So keep in mind, you guys, these are all interrelated. Your resume is interrelated with your interview, your cover letters encompassed with your interview. All of this relates together. You can't have one piece without the other. She says, this means a lot to me and my family, and I'll be bringing in the money I wanted and working hybrid. And by the way, I have that statement circled. because all she needed to tell me to make my day is this means a lot to me and my family. I know what those life-changing job offers can do for a family because I've seen it in my life. If you guys ever have heard of my career story, I've shared the story time and time again about my parents, where they came from, and where I came from, using food stamps and credit cards being declined when I was a kid. I know what a life-changing job offer looks like, and that's all she needed to say is this means a lot to me and my family. Here's Spencer's story. Spencer says, and by the way, he works as an opioid addictions counselor and a career counselor. So his story was super touching when he sent this in. He said, this is the first time I go home feeling good about the day and excited about the future. I followed Heather's ideas to a T, and it all worked. I see resumes that have every single mistake because, again, he's also a career counselor. Every single mistake, right? He says, I'm able to look at these resumes based on what he learned from me and help these folks that are fighting opioid addiction find work. He says it empowers them to dig out of the holes that they are in and that they have dug for themselves. He says, I want to write to say that Heather's work not only helped him, but he's able to help countless others find employment. He says, I got the career and the job I wanted, and you can too. Here's what Erin wrote in. She says, your resume, cover letter, and interview guidance successfully helped me to receive 2 job offers. And by the way, she only applied to 2. So she applied to 2 full-time job offers after working part-time in a separate industry for 10 years. So she'd been working part-time for 10 years, only applied to 2 job offers or 2 jobs and got offers with both of those positions. She says, I was able to find my dream job, which carries the benefit of increased pay. And by the way, she just had to say this, and this was what got me. And most importantly, work in an area that I find rewarding. So our number one goal for you here is that you're making an impact on you and your family, but you're also finding work you love and finding work that's rewarding for you. She said, I truly believe it was your method of guidance and teaching that led me to successfully receiving these 2 job offers. So a quick recap, and then I'm going to take some questions. Inside of the resume and cover letter makeover course, you have 6 high impact resume and cover letter lessons, and I shared with you guys exactly what those look like. We have our bonus number 1, which is our job interview confidence training. Bonus number 2, which is our 120 plus proven AI powered job search prompts and tutorial. This is to help you get started with using AI if you have not yet started using AI, but to give you ideas on really how to prompt AI. We also have our bonus number 3, which is our LinkedIn job search blueprint. This is 5 additional hours of training just using LinkedIn. Your news feed, searching for jobs, building your profile, networking with recruiters, becoming a thought leader, an industry expert using LinkedIn. And by the way, LinkedIn isn't going anywhere. It's only getting bigger and bigger. So if you are not actively on that platform or using it properly, I'm highly recommending that you at least do that. Our VIP bonus is our 3-part job search mastery mini-series. This is 7 additional hours of training. So on top of your resume and your cover letter, I even share additional resume and cover letter tips inside the job search mastery mini-series. So that's also included with this program. Our insider bonus, which is your professionally curated templates and examples. So you can sort through those, choose which templates or which examples you want to use to start with. We have our workbook. That is our insider bonus number 2. I actually had this printed and I had it bound, which I really love. I'm like a paper person. I have a notebook. I have paper calendars. I use my pencil. I do also have things electronically, but I love having things printed out. If that's not you, you can keep your workbook digital. Our fast action bonus is our 60-minute career coaching consultation happening on August 29th. So make sure if you want to get in and get that fast action bonus, you'll probably need to grab your enrollment today or enroll today because those 20 spots will be gone by the end of the day. And then here's the amazing thing, lifetime access to the curriculum and the templates. So a lot of times folks don't give you lifetime access, but here's what we've noticed with our job seekers and people that might want to come in, and they might find a job today, and then in 2 years, they might say, Heather, I'm ready for my next opportunity. Or Heather, guess what? I just got laid off. Or whatever the situation is, I want you to be able to jump back into your online course portal, look at any of the updates that we've made, get your updated template, look at any of the new strategies that are happening, and put that into practice, because we have received messages from folks that they land their job, their life-changing job offer, and then a year later, they're in a whole nother position. Or maybe 2 years later, they're in another position, and they've used the same strategies. So today, you can enroll inside this program. You'll have immediate access to every single thing I mentioned for just $97. If that is not a steal, I don't know what is. I do not know what is. Now, last little thing I want to mention here is Heather. She had written in, which by the way, I love her name, and said, I landed a job. Your resume and cover letter advice helped me get an interview with almost every company I submitted to, and an offer that was well above the salary range quoted. I could give you guys success stories all day long. I could give you steps all day long. The thing I want you to leave here with, you have to put in the work. If you don't put in the work, the needle's not going to move forward. You're not going to get those amazing job offers. You're not going to get the salary you want, the schedule you want. You have to put in the work. When I meet with folks that are enrolled in our Career Academy or any of our programs that have had success, because we do Zoom calls, and I ask them, like, what was the thing that really changed it? And, they'll pinpoint things in the program and this and that, and that it was something I said or a guidance I gave them or whatever. The biggest thing and the difference I see with them is that they put in the work. And most of these folks, you'll notice they'll say, if you put in the work, it will pay off big time. So I want you to remember that. You need to be committed as much as I'm committed to helping you, or else the needle will not move forward. So let's jump into a couple questions here. And by the way, in the live chat, or if you're watching this on replay, I want to know, what was your biggest takeaway from today's session? What was your biggest takeaway from today's session? Pop that into the live chat, and I'm going to jump in and ask some and do some questions. Let's see. Oh, awesome. So Sherry popped in a question about the automatic email. So when you guys enroll in the program, what will happen is you'll get an email message. Well, you're automatically enrolled into our online course portal. When you automatically enroll, and let me check, when we're finished here today, Sherry and anyone else that might have questions, I'll check all the back-end messaging. You'll get an email that gives you a link to how to access your portal, and all of the bonus material, the workshop, the templates, everything will be located in there. So you'll have a username and a password that will allow you to access the course portal. Sherry's mentioning that in the email I'm giving a class, like a live class. This is not a live class. This is a workshop or a program inside of our portal, and I'll fix that email. I appreciate you mentioning that, Sherry. And things get intertwined and mixed up on the back end sometimes. So I'll definitely double check on that. I wanted to go back. There were a couple questions that had come in about just general job search things that I wanted to make sure I answer. If you have a question, put question in front of your question, because it lights up for me yellow. And then Carrie will do her best getting some of these questions answered. And then, or anything, if you guys have any questions about the content, the replay, the ultimate resume cover letter workshop, the bonuses, anything inside that program, pop that into the chat. But there were a couple questions I want to make sure I answer. So the best friends the best friends is the username or the screen name, says, I'm actually blind. Will that affect my chance to be hired in any job? So here's what I would recommend. If you're jumping into the job search or you have some sort of disability, you need to focus on companies, organizations, industries that support that are willing to hire you, right? and that are okay with the disability or whatever it might be. For example, like you're not going to go apply for like a UPS truck driver or something to that effect. What I would recommend doing is really focusing on industries, companies, positions that could support that, positions that you can go in and you don't have, you can be blind, or maybe we do help people that might be hard of hearing, right? There are companies and positions that you can go for. That's what I would highly recommend. If you're wondering what that is, I would do a quick search. You could even use AI if you wanted to help you search for this, but companies that would be willing to hire you with XYZ disability, right? Or whatever that might be. Do some research, because you're going to get a big list of companies that are like, we don't care. We want to bring you on. We want to know what your experience is, what your talents are, what value you add. And a lot of times they'll look past these disabilities, but you have to pick the right companies and the right positions. And again, that goes back to that targeted job search. Awesome. Ken says, can I use a recommendation from 30 years ago if it applies to today? I would say, Ken, I would love to see you use the more recent and relevant the recommendation, the better. Now, if you're saying it's a paper, like you have it printed out on paper, someone wrote it and you could take it into a job interview, I mean, that's debatable, but I would love to see you, Ken, because we want to put you in the best possible light. I would say you need to have those recommendations as recent and relevant as possible. Those are going to be the biggest impact, right? Because a lot of things have changed. A lot, like your personality could have changed. I mean, I know my personality changes like every 10 years, right? Like I might be interested in something or whatever that might be. Get a relevant recommendation as relevant as you can. Okay, Lindsay asked a question. How do I explain my work gap if they're due to mental health? That's a good question, Lindsay. I would say when it comes to explaining any gap, I've had a lot of trainings on just career gaps. In fact, Carrie, I'm not sure if you can pop over to the channel. It was probably like a month, maybe 6 weeks ago. We did a training specifically on work gaps and employment gaps. And we talked so much about how job seekers are so focused on that gap, and that becomes their story, when really the gap is just something that happened in your career. It's not the entire story. The story is like, how did you get to where you are in terms of your career? What are your talents? What are your skills? What are your experiences? What can you bring to the table? That's really what we want to focus on. We're not even going to mention that gap until we're really talking about it or talking in an interview, and they might ask you, hey, can you tell me a little bit more about why there was a 6-month, a 1 year or 2 year gap? When you say mental health, like that's such a broad topic, you could narrow that down to, I needed time with my family. I needed to self-reflect. You don't have to say anything about mental health, right? In fact, I would remove that from the story completely, and I would say you were taking time to improve yourself, to learn new skills, and maybe that new skill was just coping with life. But you don't need to tell them I think so. We want to be so honest, right, in the employment process, and you should. But at the same time, they don't need to know all these details. They need to know what experience you have, what skills you have, what talents you have, and what you bring to the table. And that's what the focus should be. By the way, type into the chat what your biggest takeaway was from today's chat conversation, if you have not yet already typed that in. I love it. Kathy says, radical sense of ownership in your career. I love that. I love that TikTok. I want to coin that, radical sense of ownership. I think it's so amazing. Be confident and take ownership. Know and understand your career accomplishments. Thanks, Kathy, for mentioning that. Yes, LB says, focus on ownership of your experience. Tom, hello, says, stay confident in my experience, skills, and the value I bring. And this goes to Lindsay's her question about the gap. Stay confident in your experience, your skills, and the value you bring. That's all you need to do. And then when that question comes up, yeah, that was me taking time off to be a better me, to take care of myself, to really reflect on what my career goals or aspirations really are. Yes, and Lindsay even said, biggest takeaway was that I can still follow up with the company after more than 2 weeks and about exerting confidence about my skills and achievements, 100%. And by the way, I didn't even share this with you, but I had a couple extra slides where I want to talk a little bit about the follow-up, the interview follow-up process, because that is such an important part to this. Is really following up after you've interviewed, after you've applied, and all those templates and all those resources are inside of our Ultimate Resume and Cover Letter Workshop. They're actually part of the bonus material inside there. Rockwell says confidence, which I need to work on 100%. Jana says the 4-part targeted job search strategy. Yep, I love it. Richard, interview strategies. Teresa says interview prep and follow-up. Yeah, Richard's like lifetime access. 100%. If you guys want to join us inside of the Ultimate Resume Cover Letter and Makeover Workshop, make sure you get in. We have our 2-day flash offer. It will end on Thursday. If you want to join us for that group career and job search coaching on August 29th, you'll definitely want to get in and get your enrollment solidified today, because those spots will probably be gone. There's 20 of those spots available. All right, couple more questions here. Dark Phoenix Gaming, I love that username, says, do you have any suggestions for not getting filtered out based on location? I live in a very small town, but I do actually want to move. So any advice on how to work on that? Yeah, I wouldn't even include your location. So I'm wondering if you're meaning like on LinkedIn, right? Because you can have your location included on LinkedIn. On your resume, don't even put your city, state, or zip. You'll have your name, your phone number, your email address, and your LinkedIn URL. If they go to LinkedIn to look at your location, I would select the next biggest city that you are in. So if you're in like a rural town, you don't need to have that. Do like a general area on LinkedIn. Or the other thing you can do, if there's a location you want to go to or work in, you can actually add that as a location. But I think this comes down to more of making sure that job search is targeted and really thinking about when you say you want to move, where do you want to move, right? Like really getting specific with that. And maybe it's, who knows? Maybe it's a bigger city somewhere. Maybe you have 5 different cities you want to live in or that you could move to. I would just remove that location from your city state from your resume. You can also mention like in a cover letter or in your LinkedIn profile in the about summary, you can mention you're excited to relocate, like you're open to relocating if the opportunity was right. Yes, awesome. Marcus asked a question. Do you have a professional job search spreadsheet tool? I created mine manually. I sure do, Marcus. So this was one of the things that our toolkit users had asked us about a couple of years ago, is just keeping track of their job search. And we created a spreadsheet with basically the things you need to track. Now, I've seen so many job search trackers before, and there's like 1,000 things you can track, but I'm all about optimizing, and I don't want you to track 1,000 things, but there are specific things I do want you to track, and that is included in our toolkit, in our job search spreadsheet, and where you're going to list the position, you'll list, like, I want you to track things like keywords specific to that position, who's on the inside of the company that you know, who's the recruiter, what are you learning throughout the process, and that kind of thing. But yeah, that is something I highly recommend that you have. Good questions. Okay, I'm going to answer, Carrie, there's a couple more that popped in. I'm going to answer some of these. And by the way, welcome to all of you guys that are joining us in the resume cover letter makeover workshop. Welcome. If you have any questions about the course, your order, anything like that, make sure you email me at heather@professораustin.com. I have Tori, who is in the inbox with me. She is my amazing virtual assistant. She'll be helping me answer questions and make sure everyone's gets all their bonuses and everyone's located in the right spot, right? Because you'll have access to an online portal and if you have questions about your order. So thank you. I see all of your amazing, beautiful names here. So thank you guys for joining. And again, email me at Heather at professораustin.com if you have questions. Let me go through a couple of these questions that are in the chat. And it looks like Carrie answered your question about should we have those bonus materials completed prior to the coaching session? Not necessarily. I would highly recommend, let me give you guys direction for those of you that are joining us inside of the workshop or inside of the course. Let me give you just a couple steps that you can take. I would highly focus on what is the biggest challenge you're facing right now, and that's what I would target. So you could say, hey, I want to really get my resume and my cover letter squared away first. You're going to start with just the workshop material. Make sure you get your workbook, make sure you get the templates, and you'll have all that inside of the portal. Then from there, if you get that extra time or when you have that extra time, then start going through the bonus material. Maybe you want to learn more about AI, so jump into that course. Maybe you want to learn more about LinkedIn, jump into that course. Maybe just the job search phase, you want to learn about that, jump into that course. Maybe it's the job interview confidence training, then go there. You do not have to have it all complete before we do our career and job search coaching session on August 29th. I would like you, however, to complete as much as you can so that you can come with questions. And by the way, I will be sending out the link to this session, and I also allow you, if you want, to pre-submit questions so that we can make sure we get your questions answered. But you can also ask questions on the call. And then I might even do a hot seat session with you and have you come on live with me if you want. Some people don't like to share their camera. That's okay. But if you want to share your camera and your audio, I have you come in and we chat about what you're experiencing at that time. Yes, Lindsay says, do you have a resource on how I should phase my follow-up on previously applied jobs? I sure do. So we do have, I think we still have a free follow-up template. However, and I haven't updated the free one for a while because we have a lot of the follow-up templates inside of our resources and inside of our programs. So let me just give you kind of an idea of what those follow-up templates look like, because when you're going in and you're applying for jobs, there's going to be different phases that you need to follow up. It might be you've applied for a job, but you haven't heard anything back. In that case, what do you say, right? We have a template for that. It might be that you've gone on a first interview. It might be that you've gone on a second interview. It might even be that you've gone on a third interview. All of the follow-up for that is going to look slightly different, but we have templates and examples for that. It might be a phone or a video interview that you just completed. That's also in there. It might even be that you've gone on an interview. So I'm giving you guys all the special case scenarios. It might even be that you've gone on an interview, but you haven't heard anything back. And so what does that look like? That's going to be another type of follow-up. And we also don't want the follow-ups to sound the same. We need to inject a little bit different part of your career story into it. But all those interview follow-ups are inside. If you join us inside of the course, the resume cover letter makeover course, that's all inside of there in the bonus material. Now, you might also have an option or a time when you're getting a rejection after you've been on the interview and you thought you were the perfect fit. That's in there as well. Accepting the job offer, declining the job offer, also requesting informational interviews. That's another piece to this. So there's a lot of resources that you guys should be able to use and have massive success with inside of that of the workshop. Good questions. Okay, let's see what else we can answer. Okay, S. Robertson asked a really good question. Is the resume and cover letter workshop part of the academy? This is not included in the academy. This is a separate workshop that we actually hosted. I hosted live a couple weeks ago, and we've put it inside of an online course portal that it's a separate program, a separate course. And we've made this available because we had so many people reach out to us that maybe they couldn't invest in the toolkit right now. Maybe they couldn't invest in the Career Academy. And we want to give you guys as many resources as possible right now to help you get started. Now, if later on you're like, hey, I want to jump into the toolkit because I want this extra resource that's in there, or I want to join you guys in the academy because I'm really valuing the group coaching calls, or I really want that career portfolio audit, or I really want the dedicated email support, or the extra bonus workshops that you give the Career Academy. We have just different workshops for different investment points, right? It's all up to you and what works for you right now. All right, you guys, amazing workshop today. Hopefully this gives you guys some groundwork to follow to make sure you're not making those job search mistakes, and I call them dangerous or critical, because your life-changing job offer is on the line. So if you need to go back and listen to the replay, make sure you do. Remember, if you want to join us inside of the resume and cover letter makeover course, make sure you do that. You can go to heatheraustin.online/live offer. As a recap, here is everything that is inside of that program. You'll have immediate access to everything. So I would highly recommend starting with the resume cover letter lessons, moving into LinkedIn if you need to, learning about AI, learning about the job interview confidence training. Maybe you are going on interviews right now and you just need a little extra training on that. Jump into that one. Take some time exploring the Job Search Mastery mini series. Again, that's 7 hours of content. You will not find this much organized content anywhere on the internet for $97, right? So if you want to join us in there, make sure you join us during this 2-day flash offer. The 20 spots for our 60-minute career group career and job search coaching will probably be gone by the end of the day if they're not already gone. Make sure you jump in and get in and get started if you want to join us for that. If not, you have some amazing content to dive deep into. If you have any questions about any of it, make sure you email me and my team at heather@professораustin.com, and we will get to your emails as quickly as possible. Make sure your eyes on the channel, like this video, subscribe to this channel. Next week, we have a video coming out about ghost job postings, and I have some tips to share with you on that. I know there are a couple questions about that coming into the chat, especially if you're like, did I apply for this job? Is this a real job? Am I going to hear anything back? I just submitted all my information and took all that time. So keep an eye on the channel, because that's what we are talking about next week. Also, if you want to join our email list, you can run over to, let me actually share this link with you, because we do have some free resources available. You can sign up for one of our free resources if you want, and you will be able to join our email list. That is probably the best place for you to get information about what we have coming up here. We have lots of amazing trainings happening in the fall for you guys. You can go to heatheraustin.online/free resources. We have a free resume template there. We have a job search playbook. We have some networking templates, just a few things that will help you get started, that will sign you up for our email list. And then you'll learn about our private trainings that we're having, our private workshops, any other things that we have here on the channel. So you guys, thank you so much for joining us here today. Thanks for sharing your biggest takeaways. I love to know what's resonating with you guys the most. If you have questions, email me at heather@professораustin.com, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks, everyone.